Hello and welcome to Arsenal Domination. We're following the good news of the victory against Crystal Palace in what has been a story of the season. We are now dealing with the bad news that Bukayo Saka is confirmed out for many weeks. The length of injury seems to vary with reporting. We don't really know what it is. I think there are two things that reports seem to agree on, that it's going to be a minimum of 6 weeks, which will take us to February, and that it is a torn hamstring. And essentially, the severity of that tear is going to determine the length of time he's going to be out for. And I don't think anybody knows how severe that is outside of Arsenal right now. So we will have to wait and see how long it's going to be. But whatever the case, Bukayo Saka, who is one of our integral forwards, is now out for a substantial period of time at a crucial period of time when we've got big games coming up in the cups and the league, and he's going to be a huge miss. And Arsenal are going to have to find a way to operate without him. Saka is undoubtedly one of our two main attacking threats. He and Odegaard, you can toss a coin as to which one is more important. Personally, I think Odegaard is. I think just the way he plays is integral to the way Arsenal attack. He leads a press. He creates a space for others with those clever, delicate passes. But Saka is, you know, certainly a key star player for us. He scores goals, gets assists. He causes defenders all sorts of problems and is an area of major focus for the defence, which can create space for others just in its own right. They tend to double up on him and that sort of thing. And we saw the effect when Martin Odegaard was out, it had on the attack. We've got to hope and pray now that this is not going to be the case for Bukayo Saka, with his injury will have on the team. And time will tell on that. So how do Arsenal fix it? Well, the obvious answer would have been Raheem Sterling comes in. But that is not an option now for us because he is also out for a few weeks. So Arsenal have to find other solutions. And I think we've all said in the summer we were a player light. I think that remains the case now, and there's nothing we can do about it for another week or so. But we're essentially three players light now with Saka, Sterling, and the one player light in attack, and that is limiting our options. I think there's sort of two main tactical approaches Arsenal can take to this, which is defend more and try and eke out the win, or attack more. We saw the impact it had when Arsenal tried to defend more, and of course we got injuries in defence as well. They're easing somewhat with Calafiori's return and Zinchenko back in training day, but we saw the limitations of that when Martin Odegaard was out. The attack looked blunt, and we saw the positives of Arsenal sort of taking a more offensive approach against Crystal Palace in recent weeks, where we scored, a lot of goals against them. 8 goals in the 2 games by being that slightly more open and going for the attack, and that in some ways took the pressure off the defence. It did leave more space. It did create more chances for the opposition, but I also think the defence can play better than it did in the 2 games, and I think we'll see that. So I think Mikel Arteta has to take a more offensive approach here with the options he's got in the short term. And by short term, I mean the next few weeks. And that's going to be, as I mentioned in a video a couple of weeks ago, it has to be spreading the attack down both flanks to make us more unpredictable. It has to be about moving the ball quicker and with less predictable patterns. Up the tempo, up the speed of passing, up the movement, and try and cause issues that way. The good news is Jesus is back in form after a long period of not being in form. How long it lasts, I don't know. But, that's one thing. And it will be him, Trossard, Martinelli and Havertz with Ranieri and Odegaard as really the only offensive weapons we really have. And they are going to have to play lights out football for the next few weeks if we are to make that work. Which probably leads us to the fact that we will almost certainly need to dip into the transfer market in January. Arsenal are always likely to be reactive from everything that's being reported around the club rather than proactive in this window. That's generally the approach Arsenal take, and generally one I'm sort of on board with. I think that's relatively sensible. But I think something has happened now, but it's going to have to prompt Arsenal to act. The injuries this season have been severe. They have had a major impact on the season, whether we like it or not. But there is now a chance for Arsenal to do something about it in this window. Now, it may not be possible, but they have to try. I've spoken in recent weeks about players like Jonathan David and Brian Moore. I think that's the kind of player that we're looking at. We can't make a loan from the Premier League, but we can make loans from abroad. But it's going to have to be a sort of squad player that will be able to come in and be that player next season as a squad player. And they get plenty of minutes because I just don't see us going out there and getting a lights out player. in January. They don't tend to move. It has been known, but it's not overly common. And I think that's probably where Arsenal will be able to afford the player as well, because I think we are tied on PSR. We were told before the summer that that was likely to be the case. Maybe the window, the late sales in the window will ease that. I hope so, but I don't think we're going to see those big signings. But Arsenal do need to try and get something done. I hope it's not Marcus Rashford. If it is, it is. But I think Arsenal need to get the right player, not just for the next 3-4 months. They need to get the right player for the next 3-4 years. And I'm not sure Marcus Rashford is that. So, but he could be an option. I prefer someone like Gittins out of Dortmund or the guys I mentioned earlier. But at this point, you're going to have to weigh the long term with the short term. And if it's Marcus Rashford, it's Marcus Rashford. Other options are Gula on loan. We'll see what happens. Um, but hopefully Arsenal can do something, bolster their attack. And I think if they can get someone through the door early in January, I think that has two benefits to Arsenal, which is A, the short term attacking benefit, but I think just gives the place a lift. I think Arsenal's poor season has been over egged. But you can understand where it's not been the season that we wanted it to be so far, despite the fact actually we're in a cup semi-final, going through in the Champions League and in the league title race, just in the league title race. That they remain positives, but it has felt flat and deflated. The Saka news doesn't help that, and a signing coming in can just help lift the place. And if we can get that lift, the knock-on effect could be huge for Arsenal. So pressure on. They're going to have to see what they can do, and it'll be interesting to watch it unfold in the coming weeks. That starts at Ipswich on the 27th. Fingers crossed. Well, there's no excuses for not winning that game. We should be beating Ipswich, let's be honest. And if we win that game, I think it will come on the back of a Liverpool win. So I don't expect to close the gap. I think they will beat Leicester at home. But we've just got to keep winning as much as we can. So there we go. Let's see what Arsenal do. It's over to them now. And say hopefully a signing, as I say, will kickstart a stronger second half of the season, and Arsenal can go on and win silverware because it's a must this season. Anyway, that's enough for me. I wanted to wish you all a Merry Christmas. For those of you that are still watching, I hope you have a lovely festive period, and thank you for all the support I've had in recent weeks since I started this channel 6 weeks ago, I think, today. Have a great Christmas. I will speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye.